Is the fluoride in your tap water secretly damaging your teeth? There's something called dental fluorosis out there that some people point to as a reason that you should completely avoid drinking normal tap water. So in this video, I'm going to explain exactly what dental fluorosis is and whether or not you should avoid your water. Dental fluorosis is a condition when too much fluoride is exposed to a child as their teeth are developing. So normally fluorosis shows up as these white spots or streaks on your teeth, and in very, very rare cases, it can show up as brown or really discolored and potentially like this mottled looking tooth. Now for most of the cases of fluorosis, the mild and moderate cases, it doesn't make your teeth any weaker and it doesn't hurt them at all. In fact, the teeth that actually have the fluorosis are actually more resistant to decay than a regular tooth. So it's usually just a cosmetic thing when this happens. Now people started really noticing fluorosis back in the early 1900s. That's when water wasn't really regulated and fluoride was naturally really high in the drinking water. So people just had a ton of exposure to fluoride and they ended up with these really mottled, brown looking teeth. Then closer to the 1940s, they started realizing this and they started lowering and adjusting the levels of fluoride. So now in the United States, fluoride is regulated at 0.7 parts per million. So that means in some cases, fluoride is added to the drinking water to get to that 0.7 parts per million. And in some cases, it's actually removed from the drinking water to get down to that 0.7 parts per million. This is the level that was proven to be very safe, but also very effective. So at this level, fluoride does not cause fluorosis. Now, why is fluoride even added to our drinking water in the first place? Well, the whole goal is to strengthen our teeth. You see, before fluoride was added to our drinking water, there were regions that would just get a ton of cavities. These kids would grow up and they would have these carbohydrates in their diet, and they would be bombarded with these cavities. And then it led to a lot of pain, potential infections, and a lot of problems where they had to get it fixed by a dentist, and this could be really expensive. And not only that, it could be a huge headache for the kid and the parents. But then, once fluoride got regulated in the drinking water, these cavity rates drastically went down. It was so effective that the CDC even called it one of the biggest public health achievements in the 20th century. Why does fluoride strengthen our teeth? Well, when fluoride gets in contact with our teeth, it helps remineralize our teeth. Specifically, it will turn our enamel crystal, which is called a hydroxyapatite crystal, into a fluorapatite crystal, which is a crystal that's been incorporated with fluoride. This crystal is a lot more resistant to getting cavities. So a typical tooth without any fluoride will start to break down and get cavities at a pH of 5.5. That means if something gets that acidic, where it gets to that 5.5 threshold, that tooth will start to break down and a hole could form. Now with fluoride, you need a pH of 4.5. So something has to be a lot more acidic to form a hole and break down a fluorapatite tooth versus a typical hydroxyapatite tooth. Now, should you be scared of this dental fluorosis? Well, keep in mind that it only affects teeth that are still developing. So once you reach the age of 8, all your adult teeth are pretty much developed, so you can no longer get any more dental fluorosis. The other thing to note is that fluorosis typically does not happen from the drinking water. Like I said, the levels of 0.7 parts per million are not enough to cause fluorosis, even the mild cases of fluorosis. Usually those mild cases of fluorosis come when a kid swallows too much toothpaste when their teeth are developing, or if they have too many fluoride supplements. But if you're watching this now as an adult and realizing this, there's really not a whole lot you can do to prevent it from getting worse, because what's done is done. You're not gonna make that fluorosis worse, and you can't really make it better. Now, you could technically make it better with some cosmetic options, which you should probably talk to your dentist about. Some options can be pretty conservative, like sometimes you can just get some teeth whitening to try to mask it. Sometimes you might want to get like a bonding or something where they put some composite over your teeth. It really just depends on your case, so this is why you should talk to your dentist. Now, if you're worried about your kids, how can you prevent getting fluorosis? I do not recommend you avoid tap water or need to go to that extent. If you want to, you can, but in general, it really comes down to the toothpaste. For kids that are under 3, you just want to use a little tiny rice-sized amount of toothpaste. And once they get older than 3, you want to use a pea-sized amount. A lot of people do not realize how small a pea-sized or a rice-sized amount is. Look at a grain of rice and then look at how much toothpaste you're putting. Do they look the same to you? And then same, look at a pea. Not like some GMO enhanced peas, like a regular tiny green pea. That's how much toothpaste should be used in a kid older than 3. Then you also want to make sure your kid does not swallow the toothpaste. I know a ton of people that only started using fluoride toothpaste in their kids once they were able to spit. Before that, their kid would never spit, they would just keep swallowing. And in that case, it's fine if you want to hold off on a fluoride toothpaste. But if your kid's able to spit it out, there's no harm in using a fluoride one. Now, when it comes to fluoride supplements, yes, there there are some supplements out there when kids are not exposed to fluoride. For example, in cases of well water. Well water is not regulated, and sometimes it can have really high levels of fluoride and sometimes it can have no fluoride in it. So I'd recommend testing it yourself, and if you have no fluoride in your drinking water, then sometimes a dentist might recommend a fluoride supplement. But only take it if your dentist or hygienist recommends it. If they do not recommend you taking one, or if you have normal city water, then there's no need for you to take it. Now, that being said, if you're against fluoride and do not want to use it, you can use an alternative. What I'd recommend is a nanohydroxyapatite toothpaste. Now, I did talk about different types of toothpaste in some of my other videos, so I'm putting a link in the description below if you want to learn more about that. But with nanohydroxyapatite, you're still going to get that remineralizing. Your teeth are just not going to be as strong as if you used fluoride. So with all that being said, thank you guys for watching. I hope you liked that video. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel below. And I will see you guys in the next video. You use your mouth every day, but I bet there are some facts about your mouth that will seriously shock you. So today I'm going to go over 7 things about your mouth that you probably did not know about. Number 1 is your mouth is dirtier than a toilet seat. Hold on, what? Your mouth is a home to over 700 different types of bacteria. Now don't get me wrong, not all of them are bad. Some of them can be good.